Picture this. It's Tuesday night, dinner's on the table, and suddenly everything goes black. Not just your house, the entire neighborhood. Your neighbor Jim rushes outside, frantically checking his phone for answers that aren't coming. By morning, he's knocking on doors, begging for food because his fridge turned into a bacterial breeding ground overnight. Meanwhile, the prepared family down the street is sitting pretty, with hot coffee, preserved food, and a plan that kicked in the moment the lights died. I'm Zach, been prepping since 2012, and I've seen this scenario play out dozens of times. The difference between those who thrive and those who barely survive comes down to what happens in that first golden hour. Most people waste it checking their phones, hoping the power comes back, or panicking about what to do next. The smart ones? They're already moving through a systematic checklist that could keep their family comfortable for weeks. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 7 critical actions that separate the prepared from the desperate when the grid goes down. These aren't theoretical exercises, they're battlefield-tested strategies that have kept families alive during everything from ice storms in Quebec to hurricanes in Puerto Rico. By the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step playbook that starts the second your lights flicker out. Action number 7. Secure your electronics and power sources. The moment the power dies, most people's first instinct is to grab their phone and start frantically refreshing social media for answers. Big mistake. Those first few minutes of battery life are precious, and wasting them on panic scrolling could cost you dearly later. Back in 2018, during a 3-day outage in my area, I watched neighbors drain their phone batteries within the first 2 hours just trying to figure out what was happening. Meanwhile, I immediately switched all my devices to airplane mode and gathered every portable power source in the house. Here's what you need to do immediately. Turn off all non-essential electronics. That gaming console, smart TV, computer monitors, everything that was running when the power cut needs to be switched off manually. Why? When power returns, that initial surge can fry sensitive electronics. I learned this the hard way in 2014 when a brief outage cost me an $800 computer that I forgot to unplug. Next, consolidate all your portable power sources. Every phone charger, power bank, laptop, tablet, and battery pack needs to be gathered in one location. Check their charge levels immediately. A fully charged laptop can power a small LED light for over 100 hours, or charge your phone 15 times. That tablet you use for Netflix, it can become a vital communication device if properly conserved. Don't overlook car batteries either. Your vehicle is essentially a rolling power station with a charging port. But here's the critical part. You need to conserve that power intelligently. Most people kill their car batteries trying to charge everything at once. Smart preppers use their vehicles for essential charging only, radios, flashlights, and one primary communication device. Consider investing in a small solar panel system if you haven't already. Even a basic 20-watt panel can keep small electronics running indefinitely. During the 2017 Hurricane Maria aftermath, families with small solar setups had communication capabilities for months, while their neighbors remained cut off from the outside world. Battery management becomes crucial. Alkaline batteries lose charge even when not in use, but lithium batteries hold their charge for years. Keep a rotation system. Use the oldest batteries first and always have fresh ones in reserve. A simple battery tester, which costs less than $10, can tell you exactly how much power you have left in each battery. Here's something most people miss: manual alternatives. Every electronic device in your home has a non-electronic backup option. Electric can opener? Get a manual one. Digital clock? Get a wind-up analog. Electric garage door? Learn how to open it manually. The power outage isn't the time to figure these things out. Finally, document your electronics immediately. In extended outages, insurance claims become complicated. A quick video walkthrough of your electronics and their condition, filmed on your phone while you still have battery, could save you thousands later. Action number 6. Establish immediate communication protocols. Communication becomes your lifeline the moment society's normal channels start breaking down. Cell towers have backup power, but it's limited, usually between 8 and 24 hours depending on the system. After that, your smartphone becomes an expensive paperweight. The first thing I do is establish contact with my core network while the towers are still functioning. This isn't about posting on social media, it's about coordinating with the people who matter. Family members, trusted neighbors, anyone who's part of your survival network needs to know the situation and confirm their status immediately. But here's where most people go wrong. They assume the phones will keep working. In 2003, during the Northeast blackout, cellular networks became completely overloaded within the first hour. Even with power, the sheer volume of people trying to call and text crashed the system. You need backup communication methods ready to deploy. Two-way radios become invaluable. FRS and GMRS radios, which you can buy for $30 to $50 per pair, can communicate across several miles depending on terrain. The key is having preset channels and protocols established before you need them. My family knows that if communications go down, we monitor channel 7 every hour on the hour for check-ins. Don't underestimate the power of analog communication either. A simple whiteboard on your front door can let neighbors know you're okay and what resources you might need or have available for trade. During extended outages, information networks spring up organically, but only if people can leave messages for each other. Ham radio operators become the heroes of extended blackouts. If you're not licensed, find someone in your area who is and establish a relationship now. In major disasters, ham radio networks provide communication when everything else fails. During Hurricane Katrina, ham operators were often the only source of communication between isolated areas in the outside world. Consider signal methods that don't require batteries. A whistle can be heard much farther than your voice and won't give out after hours of use. Mirrors can signal over long distances during daylight. Even colored cloth hung in specific patterns can convey messages to people who know your code. One thing I learned during a week-long outage in 2016: establish communication schedules immediately. If your family knows to check for messages at specific times, you waste less battery power and create predictable contact windows. Random communication attempts drain resources and create anxiety when people aren't available. The psychological aspect of communication is huge. People need to know they're not alone, that help exists, and that there's a plan. Even if you're just coordinating with one neighbor, having regular check-ins maintains morale and creates a support system that could mean the difference between panic and stability. Action number 5. Implement food preservation strategy. Most people think they have days to deal with food issues during a blackout. They're wrong. The USDA says refrigerated food becomes unsafe after just 4 hours once temperatures rise above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That expensive steak in your fridge? It's racing against time from the moment your power cuts. I remember during a summer outage in 2019, my neighbor opened his fridge every 30 minutes to check on things. By hour 6, his fridge was barely cooler than room temperature and his food was heading straight toward the danger zone. Meanwhile, I hadn't opened mine once, and it was still maintaining safe temperatures. Your first move is triage. Identify the most perishable items, milk, eggs, soft cheeses, raw meat, seafood, and make immediate decisions. Either cook them right away or move them to your freezer to buy extra time. Don't just shuffle things around randomly, you need a strategic plan. Here's a trick that saved my family hundreds of dollars in food during a 3-day outage. Pre-cook your most valuable proteins immediately. That expensive meat doesn't have to spoil if you get it cooked within the first few hours. Even without your regular stove, a propane camping stove, outdoor grill, or improvised fire pit can handle basic cooking. Cooked meat lasts significantly longer than raw meat, even without refrigeration. Consolidation is critical. Don't leave some food in the fridge and some in the freezer. Move everything you want to preserve into the freezer compartment and keep that door sealed. A full freezer maintains temperature nearly twice as long as a half-empty one. Fill empty space with water bottles, ice packs, or even Ziploc bags filled with water. When that water eventually melts, you'll have drinking water, double duty. Now back to your immediate food strategy. Don't forget about food security from outsiders. The smell of cooking food when everyone else's house is dark makes you a target. Practice light discipline and scent control. Cook discreetly, use blackout curtains, and vent smoke away from areas where desperate neighbors might be wandering. Storage containers become crucial. Once you've cooked food, you need ways to keep it covered and protected. Large pots with tight lids, sealed containers, even aluminum foil can help maintain food safety. Temperature control matters. Even for cooked food, keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold as much as possible. Have a plan for food waste. In extended outages, garbage pickup stops, and rotting food creates health hazards and attracts pests. Composting systems, burial methods, or burning organic waste might become necessary. Plan for this before you're dealing with bags of spoiled food. Action number 4, secure water sources and storage. Water is your non-negotiable survival resource. You can stretch food for weeks, but dehydration can kill you in 3 days under normal conditions. Add heat, stress, or physical exertion, and that timeline shrinks fast. Here's what most people don't realize. Municipal water systems depend entirely on electric pumps and treatment facilities. When the grid goes down, water pressure starts dropping immediately. The golden window is that first hour when water pressure is still normal but trending downward. This is your chance to capture every drop you can before the taps run dry. Fill every bathtub, sink, large pot, and container you own. A standard bathtub holds about 80 gallons. That's enough for a family of 4 to survive for weeks if managed properly. But here's where people mess up. They fill containers and leave them uncovered. Within 48 hours, you're looking at algae growth, mosquito breeding, and bacterial contamination. Water storage requires proper containers and treatment. Water bob bladders, which cost about $35 each, are designed to fit in bathtubs and keep water clean and portable for extended periods. Water treatment becomes critical immediately. Even if your taps are still running, that water might not be safe. During blackouts, water treatment plants can malfunction, sending contaminated water into homes before officials even know there's a problem. 8 drops of unscented household bleach per gallon of water will neutralize most biological threats, but you need mechanical filtration for chemical contaminants and debris. Systems like LifeStraw Family or Berkey filters remove 99.99% of bacteria and viruses. These aren't luxury items. They're insurance policies that can mean the difference between safe hydration and waterborne illness when medical help isn't available. In disaster scenarios, diarrhea isn't just uncomfortable. It can be fatal due to rapid dehydration. Don't overlook alternate water sources. If you're near ponds, rivers, swimming pools, or even water heaters, you have backup options, but you need the tools to access them: siphons, hand pumps, or even improvised collection methods. Pool water isn't drinking quality, but it can be filtered and treated for consumption if necessary. Here's something I learned during a week-long outage. Water location matters as much as quantity. Water is heavy, over 8 pounds per gallon, so you want storage locations that don't require carrying heavy containers upstairs or across long distances. Ground floor storage near your main living area is ideal. Consider water for more than just drinking. You need water for cooking, cleaning, and hygiene. Medical situations require clean water for wound care and medication preparation. FEMA recommends 1 gallon per person per day, but experienced preppers know 2 gallons per person is more realistic when you factor in all uses. Security becomes an issue quickly. Once neighbors run out of water, they'll look to you. Desperate people take desperate measures, and water theft becomes common during extended outages. Conceal your water storage when possible, and be prepared to defend it if necessary. This isn't paranoia, it's documented reality from every major disaster. Water collection systems can extend your supplies indefinitely. Rain catchment, dew collection, and even improvised solar stills can supplement your stored water. But these systems need to be set up and tested before you need them, not figured out during a crisis. Action number 3, control temperature and environment. Temperature regulation can kill you faster than hunger, and most people have no backup plan when their heating and cooling systems die with the power grid. Electric furnaces, heat pumps, and even gas systems with electronic ignition become useless immediately. Within hours, your comfortable home can become a dangerous environment. The key is understanding heat loss and gain. Up to 40% of your home's heat escapes through windows, and that's under normal conditions. During a blackout, when your heating system is dead, every degree matters. Your first action should be environmental control. Close off unused rooms, hang blankets over windows, and consolidate your family into the smallest defensible space possible. I learned this during the 2021 Texas freeze, when my power was out for 4 days in sub-freezing temperatures. Instead of trying to heat my entire house, I created a survival room using mattresses and blankets to block drafts, emergency blankets to reflect body heat, and candles for supplemental warmth. That one room stayed 20 degrees warmer than the rest of the house. Emergency blankets, also called Mylar sheets, cost less than $2 each and reflect 90% of body heat back to your body. Layer them inside sleeping areas or create reflective barriers to trap warm air. These aren't just camping accessories, they're life-saving tools that can prevent hypothermia in cold conditions. Alternative heating sources become critical. Kerosene heaters, wood stoves, or ventilated propane heaters can provide substantial warmth, but they require advanced preparation and safety precautions. 1 gallon of kerosene produces 135,000 BTUs of heat, enough to warm a small space for hours, but you need proper ventilation to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Clothing is your first line of defense against temperature extremes. Layering systems using wool and synthetic materials can keep you warm even in unheated spaces. Cotton kills because it holds moisture and pulls heat away from your body. Wool retains 80% of its insulating properties even when wet, making it the superior choice for survival situations. Don't overlook passive solar heating during day hours. South-facing windows can collect significant heat even in winter. Opening curtains during peak sun hours and closing them at night creates a natural heating cycle that requires no energy input. Strategic window management can add several degrees to your indoor temperature. Cooling in hot climates requires different strategies. Wet towels, fans powered by car batteries, and underground spaces become vital. Evaporative cooling using wet sheets can lower temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees if you have adequate ventilation. But remember, cooling strategies often require water, which becomes a precious resource during blackouts. Ventilation control is crucial for both heating and cooling. You need fresh air for safety, especially if you're using alternate heating sources, but you also need to control airflow to maintain your desired temperature. Understanding how to manage windows, doors, and natural air currents can make the difference between comfort and misery. Fire safety becomes paramount when using alternate heating. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire extinguishers are essential safety equipment. More families die from fire and carbon monoxide during blackouts than from temperature exposure, often because they're using unfamiliar heating equipment in desperate situations. Action number 2, organized defense and security measures. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to discuss. When the power goes out, the normal rules of society start bending. Law enforcement becomes overwhelmed immediately. Response times stretch into hours or days, and desperate people start making dangerous decisions. If you don't secure your home in that first hour, all your food, water, and supplies won't matter because someone else will take them. The 1977 New York blackout saw looting begin within minutes of the lights going out. Over 1,600 stores were ransacked in less than 24 hours. Now imagine a regional or national blackout lasting weeks. Your prepared stockpile becomes a target the moment neighbors realize you have what they need to survive. Security starts with basic access control. Walk your entire property immediately. Check every door, window, and potential entry point. Real deadbolts, not just the flimsy locks that come with most doors. Window latches, sliding door bars, garage door security. A $20 security bar on a sliding glass door can be the difference between intruders walking in silently and giving you the minutes you need to respond. Visibility management is critical. You don't want to advertise your resources, but you also can't afford to stumble around in the dark. Red filtered flashlights preserve your night vision while providing necessary illumination. Blackout curtains prevent your indoor lighting from turning your home into a beacon that draws unwanted attention. Perimeter awareness becomes vital. You need to know who's moving around your property and neighborhood. Simple early warning systems, motion-activated lights powered by batteries, noisemakers on potential approach routes, or even just maintaining visual watch schedules can provide critical advance notice of problems approaching. Organization is everything. If you're with family or trusted neighbors, assign watch rotations immediately.
Military units maintain 24-hour security watches for good reason. Fatigue and complacency kill. Even in suburban neighborhoods, forming informal watch groups with neighbors can deter opportunistic criminals looking for easy targets. During the 1992 Los Angeles riots, Korean-American business owners who organized armed rooftop watches saved their stores while others burned to the ground. Community defense works, but it requires coordination and planning that must happen before desperation sets in. The question of defensive tools is personal and legal, but reality demands honest discussion. In desperate times, people become dangerous. Basic defensive options, pepper spray, baseball bats, wasp spray with 15-foot range, improvised barriers are better than nothing. The goal isn't to pick fights, but to make your home a harder target than the house next door. Mental preparation might be the most important aspect. You need to be ready to enforce boundaries, to turn away people asking for supplies you can't spare, and to act decisively if your family's safety is threatened. Hesitation in crisis situations can be fatal. Property fortification can be improvised quickly. Furniture barricades, additional locks on interior doors, and even simple alarm systems using cans with coins can provide early warning and delay tactics. The goal is to slow down any threats long enough for you to respond appropriately. Document security incidents immediately. In extended disasters, insurance claims and legal proceedings become complicated. Having records of damage, threats, or defensive actions you took can protect you legally and financially during recovery periods.
Action number 1, execute information gathering and situational assessment. The most critical action you can take in that first hour isn't about supplies or security, it's about information. Understanding what's happening, how widespread the outage is, and what resources are available could determine every decision you make for the next days or weeks. Most people waste this golden hour on panic and assumption instead of systematic intelligence gathering. Your information sources become lifelines immediately. Emergency radios tuned to NOAA weather stations and local AM stations often continue broadcasting during blackouts. These stations provide official updates, emergency instructions, and crucial situational awareness. During Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, radio broadcasts were the only reliable information source for weeks, while people with radios knew where aid was being distributed and which areas were safe. But don't rely on just one source. Battery-powered scanners can monitor emergency services, giving you real-time awareness of what first responders are dealing with. If police and fire departments are overwhelmed with calls, you know the situation is serious and help isn't coming quickly. If emergency services are handling routine calls normally, the crisis might be more localized than it appears. Social intelligence gathering means talking to neighbors immediately while it's still safe to be outside. Who has generators? Who has medical training? Who has useful skills or supplies? This isn't about taking inventory of what you can take, it's about understanding your community's capabilities and potential for mutual aid or conflict. Geographic assessment becomes crucial. Is this a local outage affecting just your neighborhood or something regional or national? Local outages usually resolve quickly with outside help. Regional disasters mean you're on your own for extended periods. The scale of the crisis determines everything, from how much food to cook immediately to whether you should shelter in place or consider evacuation. Weather monitoring is essential because it affects both the cause of the outage and your survival strategies. Incoming storms, temperature changes, or natural disaster conditions require different responses. A winter blackout requires immediate heating concerns, while summer outages create cooling and water consumption challenges. Communications intelligence means monitoring whatever channels remain available. Ham radio networks, emergency broadcasts, even short-range communications from neighbors can provide vital information about conditions in other areas, available resources, or approaching threats. Resource assessment needs to be systematic and honest. Document exactly what you have in terms of food, water, fuel, medications, and supplies. Calculate consumption rates and determine how long you can sustain current conditions. This isn't about rationing immediately, it's about understanding your timeline and making informed decisions. Threat assessment requires monitoring both environmental and human factors. Natural hazards like flooding, fires, or structural damage from the initial disaster. Human threats from desperate neighbors, opportunistic criminals, or civil unrest. Early recognition of developing threats gives you time to respond before situations become dangerous. Documentation serves multiple purposes. Record the timeline of events, your family's condition and location, resource levels, and any important observations. This information helps with insurance claims later, provides valuable lessons for future preparation, and gives you written records if legal or medical issues arise. The key to information gathering is speed and system. You have a limited window when it's safe to move around, when people are willing to share information, and when official sources are still broadcasting. After that first hour, information becomes harder to obtain and less reliable. Your situational assessment determines every subsequent decision. Do you hunker down for a long-term survival scenario or prepare for quick restoration of services? Do you share resources with neighbors or protect what you have for your family? Do you stay put or consider relocation to safer areas? All these critical choices depend on the information you gather in that first precious hour. The difference between families who thrive during extended blackouts and those who barely survive often comes down to how well they understood their situation from the beginning. Information is power, and in crisis situations, power means survival. So here's the question that should keep you awake tonight. When the lights cut out and society starts unraveling, will you be the one who spent the first hour gathering intelligence and making informed decisions? Or will you be the neighbor wandering around asking others what's happening? That first hour isn't just about preparation. It's about taking control of your family's destiny when everything else is spiraling into chaos. Remember, you can grab that free video I mentioned earlier that shows you how to have complete peace of mind when there's no electricity and life gets uncertain. The link is in the description below, and it's the perfect next step to take to prepare beyond just surviving the first hour. Because when you're truly prepared, blackouts become just another day you're ready to handle with confidence.